everybody. Welcome back to Amazon suspension trends. And we've seen numerous accounts suspended for related account blocks. This is a trendy cyclical suspension. Sometimes we see several in a week. Sometimes we go 2-3 weeks with only one. And then there's tons and tons of confusion around multiple accounts, what's allowed and what's not. So I'll dive into these two and I'll keep it as brief as I can. The details do matter. If you have a related account suspension or you have been flagged for opening multiple accounts under false pretenses or just not understanding and interpreting the account creation rules properly, I would lead with ask me, show me. Don't start randomly appealing these. We've seen every kind of appeal that you could imagine, totally off point, off topic, misunderstanding the nature of it, which maybe I'll preface this with. Amazon does create and fuel confusion on this topic too by sending the wrong message. A lot of times when they mean to say you're suspended for being related to a previously closed account, they're really sending the wrong message. They send, you've violated our multiple accounts policy. I've tried as best I can to stop Amazon from letting their people send the wrong message as often as they do. It continues to happen. Maybe 1 year, year and a half since my first video on this topic, but make sure you don't just accept their interpretation of events. Do your own digging, do your own fact finding, make sure they sent you the right message so that you know what kind of appeal has to be sent in. Let's start with multiple account policies. You can have more than one account. You cannot sell the same items or the same brand on multiple accounts. That's a competitive advantage. There are ways, proper ways of creating second accounts for a second brand you have or a different product line you have, different category of product. There are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. Sometimes we introduce sellers directly to people we know at Amazon to help them understand the difference or even just for help opening the account. And other times you don't need Amazonians to help you directly. You can do it yourself as long as you understand what the rules are. You do need, and of course, we recommend having everything be entirely different, using different addresses, different banks, a bank statement, of course, under the new company. You've created the new LLC with a different address, different bank statement, different tax ID. These are basics, right? Most people already understand that. Do not open a second account. You need a legitimate reason to open a second account, like I mentioned a moment ago, creating a totally different brand of products, which is a legit business need. You cannot create second and third accounts hoping that it'll save you from an account suspension on your original account. Let's just say you're only selling on one account today, right now. That's not the point, and that's not why that multiple account policy exists. That policy exists so that you can keep different businesses separate, following their criteria. We even say use different IP addresses, different laptops, whatever, to keep everything in that business separate. We understand that ownership may not be entirely separate on a different brand or account. That's fine. Everyone kind of gets that from what I can see. But don't have unrealistic expectations about not losing your new account if your old account gets suspended. Nothing prevents that from happening. If you violate policies on the first account, any other account you have, whether it's in the same region, like within the US, for example, or the UK, or overseas. You may lose an overseas account if you violate policies in the US or Canada or in the UK. That happens all the time. Let's say review manipulation or faking compliance documents or sending messages to buyers that are inappropriate that you shouldn't have sent. Anything that violates the BSA, your terms of service with Amazon that you've agreed to anytime you start selling in any regional marketplace, could cost you an account elsewhere because they will be connected to each other. You're not going to necessarily have a stealth second account. You're going to have an account that you legitimately create within Amazon's rules, but you could lose all of them. All the dominoes could fall if the original account is suspended. Or if the new account gets suspended, it might take your original account down, depending on the reasons, right? Amazon reserves the right to interpret their policies as they see fit. If they think you're breaking the rules on one account, they may suspect you're doing it on more than one account. Either way, you have to expect that they might take out all of your accounts and you will have to appeal on the first account that gets suspended, right? So that's an important distinction to make. We still talk to people years and years later about, well, I have to have a second or third account because I can't afford to have my main account go down without having a backup plan. That's not a backup plan. I don't know if this is a misbegotten YouTube, TikTok, Instagram notion of how these investigations work. And I understand that there are mistakes aplenty if you're looking on AI tools or ChatGPT trying to get answers to these things. You're going to get some misinformation. You should probably get good info from the horse's mouth if you can get it straight from Amazonians who have some familiarity, maybe not a brand new employee or new hire, but somebody who's familiar with account management on the inside or seller success teams, some former Amazonians, as long as they come from that neck of the woods, that part of the company, like myself. Don't guess with these things. I would not proceed the same as I tell people who are planning to use product inserts inside their packaging, let's say. Don't proceed with opening second and third accounts without having a full understanding of what you can't do or what you won't be able to do with that second or third account in terms of selling the same items across multiple accounts. You can't create a second account and then later on break the rules by selling items from the first account on that second account. That's not supposed to happen. That is a violation of the multiple account policy. You cannot mix and match. If you lose an ASIN on the first account, you can't just plop it into the second one. We still see people doing that. And yes, I understand that people aren't necessarily caught right away. Just because they don't catch you day of doesn't mean they won't find you down the road. It means when the day comes that they do the full investigation and they look at the other related accounts, this could happen. You could lose multiple listings on multiple accounts. You could lose multiple accounts to the same suspension action. The first action on the account committing the violation, and then the other accounts for being related, right? Not that tough to understand. It's very logical, but people do make assumptions, and people make the wrong assumptions based on, I think the other day I was talking to somebody who said they spoke to an attorney who's promoting themselves as an Amazon expert attorney of some sort. And the attorney told them, there's nothing illegal. You're not breaking the law. You're not misrepresenting yourself by opening a second account under a different business entity or a business name. This isn't about breaking laws or misrepresenting yourself or acting fraudulently by creating multiple different types of accounts. Obviously, if there's information that you are misrepresenting or faking on a new account just because you think it gives you some sort of advantage in the appeals process or it helps you avoid enforcement on other potentially related accounts, I mean, yeah, that's a legal issue because you're committing fraud in your paperwork and you're not just breaking Amazon policies at that point, but of course, once you're breaking laws, all bets are off anyway, right? You probably understand that. So in terms of protecting yourself, it doesn't offer that layer of protection. Now I'm going to speak for a few minutes about other types of related accounts, like adding third-party services to an account without vetting them for their account access practices, their user permission practices. Are they using a lot of overseas VAs who could be signing in and out of accounts all day long, all over the world, in different Amazon accounts, different regional marketplaces? What's the likelihood that an IP address will line up between an account they signed up in and your account when they signed into yours? That could make it look like you're related to another seller who gets suspended for something you had nothing to do with, all because that particular agency or company is using VAs, or maybe not even overseas VAs. Maybe they're using people in the same country that you know they operate in, and those people are making mistakes by jumping in and out of different accounts. It's not just about secondary user permissions. I keep hearing that erroneous comment over and over and over. Any agency, any marketing firm, any attorneys, some of the attorneys that are basically chop shops, scammer type operations that we see signing into people's accounts, they're not exercising any due diligence at all. They're jumping in and out of accounts with no regard for how accounts might be linked together. The people who are there to answer questions about how they access accounts, I've been sending sellers back to those people to ask those types of questions. And the answers we see are nonsensical gibberish. Either they don't want to answer the question or they have no idea how to answer the question. That falls on you as the account owner. Anyone you hire, anyone you bring in that you give permission to access your Amazon account to, the buck stops with you. It's your responsibility to govern how they interact with your buyers, or how they create your listings for you. You can't just blame them for every mistake they make. Remove their access and appeal it later on to Amazon after you've been suspended for related accounts to say, well, we didn't know. They told us they were practicing due diligence and we didn't know what they were doing. Claiming ignorance really just kind of doesn't work anymore. Yes, it's better than nothing. Terminating the service, getting them out of your account, that's a good place to start. But why make those mistakes in the first place? You're just linking yourself to all their customer accounts. Anything could happen any day of the week on any of those accounts. And then we see people compound that error by having whoever created the problem do their appeals for them for related accounts, which results in, AI-driven or ChatGPT boilerplate generic appeal nonsense. It's worthless. Just because somebody gets your account suspended doesn't mean they know how to fix it. I understand that you want them to fix it. They're the ones that got you into that position in the first place. But quite honestly, you're the one who hired them without vetting their expertise or without vetting their knowledge for account access. So you're actually the one who got yourself into this situation. Yes, you can do a better job hiring the next time around, but for the moment, don't make it worse by having them try to fix it by giving you some generic appeals that they copied and pasted from somewhere they found online or from some previous client's account. In most cases, we hear from people that have hired the same services we hear about over and over, and they're habitually getting people suspended, but no one's really telling anyone else that this is a problem with this particular company. So it becomes a big problem. Don't let that happen to you. If you've got questions on either multiple account policy enforcement or related account blocks, let us know at e-commerce Chris. We're here and we're happy to help.